Mate, did we watch a thing this week?
Yeah, we did.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to We Watched a Thing. How you doing, bud?
Oh, all the better for hearing that intro, Billy.
Right, I'm pumped. I am pumped.
That was excellent.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. All right, what are we talking about this week?
Oh, look, it's been so long since a comic book film came out. We couldn't help but do this one.
We had to.
We're talking about DC's Captain Marvel.
Well, yeah.
Originally
Captain Marvel.
Fun fact.
But what's he called now, mate?
These days, Shazam.
Shazam!
Whoa.
You got to say it with more energy than that.
Whoa.
Say it like you're transforming.
But hang on.
Shazam!
Won't I gain energy once I've transformed?
Yeah, but you got to bring some energy.
Really,
to it.
I can't like start off chill.
So you think that he should be like
kind of lounging like this, like I'm doing now. Great for an audio format. This and be like,
yeah,
Shazam.
Or maybe he should be like Nicolas Cage. He does a bit of a Shazam, and then he starts shouting.
Yes, shout Zam.
Yeah. Shazam, an American superhero film based on the DC Comics character of the same name. It's the 7th installment in the DCEU. 7 now. I can't believe we're up to 7 of these.
We didn't need 7.
Directed by David F. Sandberg, from a screenplay by Henry Gayden and a story by Gayden and Darren Lemke. Film stars Asher Angel, Zachary Levi, Mark Strong, Dylan Grazer, and Djimon Hounsou. Let's just get straight into this. Tell me why you hated this movie, because I know that's where this is heading. I know that you hated this movie. I was sitting there in the cinema watching this going, Topher fucking hated this movie. Tell us why.
I was sitting there in the movie theater going, Billy's loving this movie.
Yeah. Yeah. And you hated it, didn't you?
I wouldn't say, no, I didn't hate it. Look, for a bit of light entertainment, it does a job.
I think that as far as the DCEU goes, this is pretty high up there.
Oh, well, yeah, it is, because it's not the worst movie ever.
You know what it is, though? The DCEU is continually trying to figure out what it was that made the MCU work. And they've kind of been taking bits and pieces. Like, they started off really grim, because at first they were just trying to be different. And then they were like, okay, well, the MCU brought all their characters together, so let's do that with Justice League. But they didn't give it time to build up to that. And then they were like, okay, well, the MCU, they threw some fun music into Guardians of the Galaxy, so let's do that with Suicide Squad. But they didn't think about why or how, and it just ended up bad.
Yeah, this is exactly the kind of film they should have made from the start.
From the start, this is the thing. Then we get to Aquaman, and they're like, okay, all right, well, Thor Ragnarok was a comedy, so let's make this a comedy. And it didn't work. And now with this, what they've done is gone, okay, the thing that really got the MCU going from the start was that they dug into their back characters that nobody really knew or cared about. And that's finally what they've done here. And I think it's finally starting to work. I think they're hitting the right kind of tones and stuff that they should have done 10 years ago at the start of this.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see Aquaman because when even you didn't like it, I was like, not touching that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is my first DCU film since...
Wonder Woman?
No, since Justice League.
Oh, Justice League was after Wonder Woman. Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, I helped myself out a bit with this film. I was like half drunk.
I did see your post that you were loitering outside the pub waiting for it to open.
Yeah, it didn't open till 11:30. I figured it would open at 11, so then I was just
that
there.
Sad man standing outside the bar.
Just there on the street. I wasn't even the first one in.
Really?
There were people more desperate than me.
I don't know how much you've seen of him. I'm a huge Zachary Levi fan. I really enjoyed Chuck. Having a 5-year-old daughter, I'm a big fan of Tangled. And I think he is a lot of fun. And there were moments like, yeah, okay, the movie can be really cheesy, and it feels a little bit too cheesy, I think. I think they were trying to, really hit that kind of fun market, and at times it doesn't quite land and it's just cheesy. But there are other times where you're sitting there and you can't help but grin and you can't help but enjoy what you're seeing on screen. And a lot of that, I think, is down to the characters and the humor in the film.
Yeah, there's jokes that really land.
Yeah, there are.
Is the good news.
And the concept as a whole, I think, is a pretty funny, well-executed You know, the fact that he's effectively a child in a superhero's body.
Yeah, it's the superhero big.
Yeah, it is.
We even get the giant keyboard on the ground.
And I think a lot of that really works and really lands. Like, this is an actual funny movie, I think.
And, like, yeah, a lot of that stuff with Shazam himself, like, it really does work because he's kind of this, I mean, not quite goofy, but,
yeah,
you know, there's that kind of, I mean, I love the fact that one of the first things he does is like, well, sweet, let's go buy some beer.
Yeah. and when he has to think of anywhere else, they end up at the strip club. And, like, because he's a 14-year-old boy.
Yeah. The only thing that, and, like, yeah, that stuff, it's good. I laughed at a bunch of it. The thing where there's kind of a bit of a disconnect there is that that's not who Billy Batson is.
I agree with you. I think there's inconsistencies.
He's a moody little teenager.
Yes.
Then he becomes Shazam, and he's not. And okay, and some people could try and argue that away with part of the thing is that you get the wisdom of Solomon, blah, 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 except Shazam doesn't have the wisdom of Solomon.
I don't think so much about the wisdom. To me, it's more like think of yourself as a 14-year-old and the kind of issues that you have with life, you know, and a lot of his issues as well around abandonment and not having a family. Imagine that you're then instantly a 30-year-old man and you don't have any of those issues. You don't need to think about school. You don't need to think about who your mum is. You don't, you know, like, I think you would become a little bit more lighthearted in that different mindset.
Yeah, but there's very little about Shazam that makes me think it's Billy.
I agree with you there. I do think that the personality shift is too big.
And they're both good. Like, the kid who's Billy, I think, is good.
Yeah, I think all the child actors are really good. I think all of his siblings and stuff add a lot to the film as well, actually.
Yep, neither Shazam or Billy is a bad performance, I don't think.
Yeah.
They're just, you're never there going, yeah, that's clearly the same person.
Character. Yeah. Yeah, no, I feel that.
But yeah, his foster siblings are good.
Yeah, I think each and every one of them adds a little something to the film. Like, you know, we spoke about this the other week with Captain Marvel when we were talking about how the problem we've had with DC films in the past is that they try to go, okay, this character will be the comic relief. And I think they landed that here where it was just pretty evenly spread across the board. They didn't have one silly guy. It was pretty well balanced.
Dismissing with balance and all that kind of thing, we get just a stunningly two-dimensional baddie.
I was going to say, my biggest issue with the film is the villain, and it's not even necessarily his motives or anything. I just don't find him very interesting. We don't really know anything about him other than he's obsessed about this wizard since he was a child, and we know nothing else about him. I don't know, like, it's been like 30 years. There must be more to this guy's life, and we don't know a thing. I didn't even know his name until halfway through the movie when somebody else said it.
That's a good point.
Yeah, like that. Even when he's a child, I don't remember hearing his name in the car. It's until much later.
Yeah, just every scene with him, really. You're just like, oh, I don't care. And I like Mark Strong.
Yeah, me too. He's great in John Carter. Probably his best villain performance. You know what I do love, though, is that one of the first characters we see in the film, Mark Strong's daddy, is played by Lionel Luthor, Lex Luthor's dad from Smallville.
Is that right?
Yes, and I stand by that Smallville is the best Lex Luthor we've had, and a lot of that is the relationship between him and his father, Lionel Luthor, who is played so well by, I want to say John Glover. I think that's wrong. Anyway, Lionel Luthor. And I was so happy to see him there. The issue for me then is, like I was saying before about the cheese, I do find this entire movie feels like an episode of Smallville. It feels very Monster of the Week. And I think it leans into the cheese a little too much.
Something I like about it is that the movie gives us a clear definition of what Shazam is capable of.
Yeah.
Now, think about a film that you liked. I hated Venom. There was no point, like, you don't actually know what the entity that is Venom can do. He just does things that are convenient for that scene.
Yep.
Whereas in this, we have, and it doesn't take up too much of the film, and it's actually done in a pretty enjoyable way.
Yes. Where they're discovering the powers.
Where both he and we, the audience, find out, okay, this is what being Shazam can do for him. And it's like, okay, sweet. Now we've got this reference of what he can do in certain scenarios, rather than just, let's hope something magical happens.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think it's good. The only power that he learns later than that montage is flight. And that's kind of a bit of a fun gag the entire film anyway. So you're not there going, oh, how convenient that he can fly now.
Billy/Shazam is far from the most heroic thing in this film, though, because the front windscreen of that bus, which plummets face down, Shazam catches it on the windscreen.
On his hands, yeah. That thing would smash.
And the windscreen holds up to the weight of a bus.
Yeah.
Amazing windscreen.
Yeah.
We need that windscreen should be part of the next Justice League.
It should have a spin-off. The windscreen CU. I must say, though, I finally understand how it must have felt for all those people seeing, like Black Panther and Wonder Woman, because finally there's a heroic Billy in a film.
Quite right.
Billy is always the douchey little dick kid. And finally,
like in real life.
Yeah. And finally we have a hero named Billy. And honestly, I just about cried in the cinema. Yep. I was like, finally I have representation up on the screen. Finally.
When you were a teenager, did you also look like the tether of Maisie Williams? Do you think Billy looks like Maisie Williams?
Yeah, actually.
I think they are separated at birth.
Well, I mean, we do know that she can transform her face.
She can.
So
crossover.
A girl has no name.
Except Billy.
Yeah. Maybe Shazam will end up in season 8, Game of Thrones. Save the day.
I've got 3 episodes to go in season 7 until I'm caught up in prep mode.
So, but you're gonna miss,
and then I'm gonna miss the second half of the season.
Yeah, God, I'm gonna text you spoilers.
I've told you what I'll text you back, and it will not be pretty. I'm a little unclear on this. Maybe you can clear it up for me. Can all of his foster siblings now? Do they have the power to just say it?
Yep.
Okay, so
they are all Shazam.
Here's a little problem that I think the DCEU has painted itself into, is that with 6 of these heroes
who are basically Superman.
There's now essentially
they're faster
7.
than Flash, I think it's said even. I think that a lot of their powers are better.
Wasn't there a comic book once upon a time where Shazam and Superman had it out and Shazam won?
It could have happened.
I think I heard someone say that once.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, so now there's 7 super people.
Well, with the ability to create infinite, you hand anyone this staff and go, say Shazam, you've got infinite superheroes.
So whatever the next Justice League type thing is, what could the threat because one of the problems with Superman is that he's too good.
Yeah.
You just can't come up with credible things that would beat him. Now there's 7. And we know that Superman, he's walking away from that franchise, so.
Does Shazam now have is he the lead shareholder in the Justice League? When they vote in meetings, is it Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and then 7 Shazams?
No, because it's like voting. You've got to be 18.
Ah, clever.
He's still got nothing.
Clever. So I'm assuming that his hot older foster sister is the only one who's 18.
Yeah, there's going to be some awkward stuff there where he's clearly in love with his foster sister, and it's like, is this okay?
That was my one other issue. I actually really liked at the end when you got the transformations to the adult cast. I thought they were all great. But his foster sister I didn't understand because she was already pretty much a fully grown woman and then she transforms into a quite different looking fully grown woman.
Who's 5 years older.
Yeah, and that I didn't quite dig. But I really liked all of the other characters that we got at the end there.
Yeah, I actually thought that whoever played the grown-up version of the youngest foster child, I thought she actually did a really great job of being
that same character.
Kind of the 8-year-old or whatever she kind of is.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. Let's talk, as we often do with comic book movies, about visuals. How did you find the look of the film and the effects in general?
In terms of the effects, they're I'm sure they're really impressive, but we're just so used to it at this point that they kind of just wash over me. And I'm like, I mean, okay, the one thing effects-wise that I didn't like, and I'm not putting this at the fault of whoever did the effects, I just think it's kind of impossible to do, is a fight in effectively zero gravity. You think of Neo and Smith in The Matrix, and it happens in this film. Without the force of gravity taking effect in a fight, it turns out it's really hard to do well.
Yeah, I agree. It looked like, punches don't look like they have any impact. You're losing that weight of all of the body movements. I agree 100%. Yeah.
I mean, in general, the look of the film, look, I got no beef with it.
Even the demons? You were all right with the demons?
No, they were pretty dumb.
They were, not just the look of them, but just in general, I wasn't our villain was bad enough. Then you throw these demons in there.
They don't have yes, they're all different from each other, but they're not different enough that you're like, yes, that one's envy.
Yeah, that's my issue too. And you don't, they realistically don't have that much dialogue where you'd have a chance to get to know which one's which anyway. At first, when they're talking as the statues, it's just kind of this omnipresent voice and you don't know who's talking anyway. And then apart from that, they maybe two of them speak twice. I actually would have liked a little more from them because they had so much more, they had the potential to have so much more personality than Mark Strong that I would have liked if they were a little bit more present.
Yeah, enacting the 7 deadly sins and having them be that meh.
Yes.
Is,
you think...
that's a waste.
When you hear the 7 deadly sins, you think of 7.
Absolutely.
And, the way that those murders are carried out with such personality. I was hoping for a little bit more of that. They could have even played up the cheese, made it a little bit more like Ninja Turtles, like a Saturday morning cartoon. Have Gluttony just sitting around eating Doritos the entire film. I still would have found that something. Have Envy, talking about Shazam's shoes or something. You know what I mean? A little bit of... They were already leaning so far into the cheese. I wouldn't have minded if they went that next level because it is that kind of a fun, silly story.
Yeah, I think there is a disconnect between the tone of the story and
the tone of the villains.
Yeah.
That was my biggest issue with the film, was that whenever we cut to Mark Strong and his posse of demons, the fun kind of sucked out of everything.
Let me ask you about running time, Billy. This was, 2 hours 10-ish?
Yeah, around that.
How long should it have been?
I'm all right with it.
Oh, Billy.
I'm all right with it.
You've changed, man.
I think, no, look, yes, I prefer a tight 90 minutes, but it depends on what's going on. And in this case, I was all right. I didn't feel like it dragged. It didn't feel like a particularly long run time. And yeah, I was pretty all right with it.
Yeah, it should have been shorter for me.
Yeah,
there's a chunk of the film where I'm like, there's not enough happening here.
I'm actually surprised that you're even as positive as you are. I really thought you were going to hate this movie.
Oh, this is no Venom.
I didn't mind I liked the relationship between him and his younger foster brother, and I liked the dynamics there. Even the kind of jealousy and the argue. It's all so typical and it's so easy to see where it's going. But I still didn't mind the way it was done because I liked the characters. What did you make of his birth mum? Did you think they got a little bit dark there for the content we were seeing?
Yeah, a bit. It's very... And, I mean, it is a very serious topic.
That's a very serious topic.
And
I kind of get it. And I actually don't mind... I liked the foster family dynamic. Earlier this year, I saw Instant Family. Similar subject matter, less superheroes, but you do have Rose Byrne. And, I think that handled it okay. But I actually think, from a film about foster families, I actually think this did a pretty good job of showing, so the central themes of the film is that, your blood isn't as important as who you consider your family. That's really, the message of the movie, I guess.
Yeah, I like that theme. I like having the foster family as actually his family. I think the leap from, oh wow, my mum really has no interest
me and had zero interest,
has no interest in me, to, all right, just snap of the fingers, I'm now in love with my foster family. That happened way too easily.
Yeah, I agree, and it did get so grim for about 5 minutes there. When you see that opening scene again, and it's from her point of view, and you're like, holy crap, where is this going?
Yeah, it's she actually would trade you for a pack of cigarettes.
Yeah.
And that's not the movie I'm in, is it?
Yeah, yeah.
Turns out, yes.
Yep.
For this 5 minutes.
Was there a soundtrack?
Queen was definitely in it. I'd be interested to know at what stage in production Queen made it in to the soundtrack. Because man, a lot of what I see on TV now has a Queen backing soundtrack.
Because it is, oh, no, that's right. It's during the montage sequence when he's discovering his powers that, is it Don't Stop Me Now? That's the only song I recall, though. Which is interesting because these days, honestly, in a post-Guardians of the Galaxy world, that just seems to be the thing that superhero films do now, is try and cram in pop songs. And I'm really, really glad that we got a break from that. And, you know, in the montage we did get it, I think it worked.
Yeah, I thought it worked there. The only thing about it that, and this is not the film's fault at all, it's just my feelings towards Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah, it's that you're very like, anti-Queen now.
Yeah. And then I have to remind myself, no, wait, I like Queen.
Alrighty. So all in all, sounds like you're 5+. Are you a 6?
No, I'm not. Look, there's things about the film I like, and I don't think it's terrible.
So I know for a fact that you would not have seen this film were it not for us doing an episode on it.
That's correct.
Do you regret in any way seeing the film? Would you see it again?
I'm not screaming for my money back, but my mind hasn't been changed on whether I needed this film in my life.
Yeah.
I don't think it's bad, but I'm reasonably uninterested, and it's a 4 out of 10 for me.
Wow. I had a lot more fun than that. I'm a 6.5. Like I'm a 6.
We don't do you got it.
We don't do halves. I'm a 6. I'm a hard 6. I had a lot of fun with it, and I'd be happy to see more of these characters. Be happy to see what happens next. Whether it's, you know, to be honest, I don't really care about seeing them with other heroes. It worked for the MCU with Avengers. I don't think that's something every shared universe needs to do. I'd be happy just to see a straight sequel to this. One thing I did like about this film, I feel like, is the first superhero film in years that hasn't tried too hard to tie into anything else in story. Like, the only viewing we get of Superman is at the end in a gag. You don't see his face, and you like, it's really a throwaway joke. As for the second post-credits scene, I don't give a shit because I don't know who that little caterpillar is.
Oh, I didn't. Oh, yeah, there was another one.
Yeah, there was.
That was even more uninteresting.
Yeah, that's trying to build into something.
That's how I'd forgotten about it.
Yeah. And I actually don't mind that, because that's the kind, like, when you watched Iron Man for the first time and at the end you see Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury, nobody knew who Nick Fury was. That was a throwaway for comic book fans. And this was exactly the same. If you're a reader of Shazam and you know who Mr. Caterpillar is...
You know who I thought it was?
Who?
You know that little thing at the beginning of Labyrinth?
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
The little worm.
She'd have gone that way. She'd have gone straight to that castle.
That would be a better shared universe.
Yeah. The villain is David Bowie's pants.
Also, just so listeners know, I did get an email from a dear listener this week who was saying that they had already listened to all of the episodes of movies they'd seen, and they wanted to check if we had somewhere that we listed our scores so that they would know what was actually worth watching to listen to the episodes of. Because, you know, we spoil shit. So just so you all know, we do have that on our website. If you go to our website and click on things we've watched, got a list of all the ratings we've given everything. Just an FYI.
I found out about that like 2 weeks ago.
I know you did.
I thought it was nice work, Billy.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks. All right. Well, what are we getting to next week?
Well, it will have been a whole week since we watched a comic book film.
Yeah, so that's right.
I guess we'll watch Hellboy.
Why not? Did you hear that this is getting an R rating in Oz?
I was shocked.
That must mean it's NC-17 in the States.
You know, I did hear that. Do you know how I heard?
I remember this, actually. I told you at the cafe yesterday.
Yes.
Yeah. R rating here in Oz. Like, that's insane.
Yeah, David Harbour's going to mess some stuff up.
It's got to be.
Possibly with some language.
Wow.
I suspect that Hellboy's going to have a potty mouth.
Well, I mean, for reference, for all of our US listeners, even Deadpool isn't R-rated here. So, like, to get an R rating here is pretty next level. All right, in the meantime, if you want to get in touch with us, you can do that at wewatchedathing.com or wewatchedathing@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all under the handle at wewatchedathing. If you do want to help support the show, you can do that at patreon.com/wewatchedathing, and we'll catch you next week.
Go watch a movie.
Bye. I love that you don't even know what's on our website.
Nah.
I should have a page just of dick pics.
You could do that.
I could. You wouldn't know.
Things we've watched.